This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 592 with guest Sammie Collison, recorded on November 24th, 2023. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home, news, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here. A very chilly winter is definitely on its way. Chilly Bellevue, Nebraska. And of course, we post the show with some world-class show notes out at the AverageGuy.tv. Big thanks to Erin Lawrence, who joined us last week. Always great to have Erin on. She did a bunch of Black Friday videos. If you haven't caught up with her on that, check all things out. techgadgetscanada.com. And she'll be she's on the ball the whole year long. So you should follow her on YouTube, and I think you can sign up for a newsletter on her site, some of those kinds of things. Get those all done. Big thanks to her as well. Big thanks to our Patreon subscribers as well. If you're a part of that team, thank you. It's Thanksgiving time here in the United States, so thank you for being a part of Patreon. If you want to join the team, we've got a $5 plan. You can jump on. It helps us do crazy things. We don't do that many crazy things, but you can check it out, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon if you want to join that team. And thanks to everybody who joined us in the chat room. As we're recording this, it's Friday, the 24th of November, which is unusual. I only do one Friday a year. It's this one. We were going to do it last year, and I have Sammie with me tonight. We were going to do it last year, Sammie. I came to you and you're like, "Are you ready?" And you were like, "I don't want to do it.
I got nothing."
Yeah, it was a tough spot. It was a tough spot to be in a year ago. Wow, what a difference a year makes for you.
True.
Right. And we had you on back in March, talked about your new job working at the library. I thought maybe it'd be a good time to catch up with you a little bit. The last 6 months, how's the library? Big changes going on at the library. Just talk a little bit about your experience there.
Yeah, so I started at our local library as a circulation clerk. So I work at the front desk. I do a little bit of everything. I started back at the end of January. So I've been there 10 months now? 11? Gee whiz. And I really love it. And I'm really got my roots in, because it's technically a 6-month training period. There's a lot of stuff to learn to do my job. And so now I'm officially trained. I passed my first performance evaluation with flying colors. But library, in the next year, we're moving to a new building. So back in 2020 or something, they were like, "We're looking at moving. Maybe it'll happen in a year," and nothing ever happens in a year. But finally, they bought a new building. They're building an addition onto the side of it, so we'll have about the same square footage as we have at our current building. But our current building we've had since don't quote me on this, but I feel like it was the 70s, because we used to be a tiny building in the park, and now we're at this building. But it's old. We're always getting bugs and mice in. We had to board up the skylights because they kept leaking water. It was just a bad situation. And so we're moving into a new space that from the inside will be purpose built for what we want. So it'll be a way better layout. We'll get more of what we're looking for, and it'll be nice. But the construction, we took a tour. The CERT crew took a tour early this month. Time is a weird soup. I don't remember anything. I feel like it was earlier this month. We took a tour of the new building under construction, and they had just roofed in the addition. I think they were trying to get the windows in before the cold really set in. And they were some of the walls were up on the inside. So we could see the size of everybody's offices and what the study rooms were going to look like. So we had a layout kind of. But we'll probably move in next fall is the sitch. But right now we're business as usual for the winter.
Yeah. And it's ironically, it's in an old Gallup building.
Yeah, it used to be a Gallup call center.
Yeah, we had a call center there. We have since stopped doing call center work, and so it sat empty for a while. Not that much farther of a drive for you.
Nope, it's just a little quarter-mile jaunt down the road. We'll have a drive-through window, which is exciting.
Yeah, that's crazy. So what would you do? What would I'm assuming mostly just drop off, or can you reserve things and they'll give them to you through the drive?
Drop off and pick up is the goal, because right now our outdoor book drop is separate from the building, so our shelvers have to like wheel a cart out to the thing and load in all the books, and that's less than ideal in inclement weather and is a lot of work for them. So that'll be the main book drop area. And then we do, ever since COVID, we've done contactless pickup where we roll a cart out. Like you call and you schedule an appointment, and then we roll a cart with your books out to the back door. And you like come and pick them up. But hopefully we'd be able to do that, a version of that through the drive-through window. So you can just be like, hey, I'm going to pick up my holds at this time, and we'll have them ready at the window.
Yeah, well, that's cool. And then will it give you some from a technology? Like, I think one of the things I was surprised about the library was just how much technology stuff they had. Beyond, I think some people think, well, the card catalog is now digital, right? Mm-hmm. But a maker's space, some of those kinds of things. It seems like you showed me. We sat down and looked at the plans for the library. Mm-hmm. It seems like they've really kind of thought through that experience, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're gonna have a bigger room for the makerspace, and it's got like 20,000 outlets in it to run all of the machines. And we're gonna be taking advantage of the vertical space more for storage, because none of the rooms, like the bookstore room is an old storage closet. The makerspace is the old computer lab. So like none of these spaces, and like the computer lab was just like in the middle of the floor. And so it's nothing in our current building is built for what it's currently being used for. And so now we're custom building rooms to be used for what we need them for. And so that will be nice. And we'll have self-checkouts again, because we used to have self-checkout machines, and they both broke at the same time because the software surpassed the hardware, and we were like, it's done. And so we're fundraising for one of those self-checkout machines right now, and then we'll have another one by the time we get there. So we'll have two self-checkouts.
You had been talking about a change in, like, you have passes. This is another thing I didn't know about the library. You'd been talking about the passes have gone through a technology change as well. Talk a little. Yes. These are like to local not parks, but to places that cost
destinations.
Money. You explain it. You do better than me.
We call them leisure passes, but you can check out a one-time family pass to go to some places. People who know the Omaha area, the Durham Museum, the Omaha Children's Museum, Fontenelle Forest, which is in Bellevue, and Lawrence and Gardens, which is up by where the Union Pacific Memorial is up on that hill. If you drive on the interstate, you can see it. But we have one-time passes that you can check out and take a couple adults and some kids for free. And we used to have those as physical passes, and we had to keep them behind the counter, and you had to come and request them. And you could check it out for 5 days, but you could only use it for one of those days. And you couldn't put them on hold because we had so few. And so it was just like a really inefficient system. We were trying our best. And recently we switched to a service called Tixkeeper, where you can reserve them online and you just get a code. So as long as you have a valid library card, you don't have to come into the library to get them, which is nice. And you just reserve it for the day that you're going. And so we don't have a problem. Like, we only have one Omaha Children's Museum pass per day. And it was getting to the point where each person that would check it out would have it for all 5 days. And then it wouldn't be on the shelf for more than 2 hours. Like, it was a miracle if it was on the shelf overnight.
They go fast, right?
But now a different family can go every single day. And so that's really nice. And it's way less work for us because we don't have to field those calls of like, do you have this pass? And like have to go and check the cabinet every time somebody comes up to the front and asks for one.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great way. It's so much, to me, it just seems like it uses the pass better. Right.
Yes.
I during my birthday weekend, I went down and got the pass that is to the Lawrence and Gardens, which is
a botanical gardens.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Around the end of May, it's always great. The roses are coming out. I mean, all the flowers are coming out. The hostels look great. And about a 3-mile walk through there. And I checked it out the old way, the old physical way. And so I made sure I took it back that afternoon so somebody else could check it out. But this is a new way to do that. I think others may want to check. You know, every time we have you on, I always encourage folks like, hey, check with your local library. They may have some they may have some things. This may be one of those things, these passes, that you can check out for local things in your area that would be a benefit to you. I know we all know about kind of what does Bellevue use for their digital checkout? Because they have a service, right, that they use where you can digitally check out books. Do you know the name? Is it Libby?
Libby. It used to be called Overdrive, and now it's called Libby.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a few of those, and I would think most libraries have that capability now,
sure.
right? But that's another one of those technology things. So that's kind of cool. Something, I probably, it's getting cold, so I probably don't want to be doing that. But as we think about spring, good opportunity to go down there. Meeting rooms, like in the new place, like I keep telling you, like, I need to do a monthly meetup of some kind at the library, but better meeting rooms coming at the new library.
Yes, we're going to have 5 individual study rooms. Well, 4 of them are going to be like individual person sized, and then one of them is going to have fit 4 people. And then we're going to have a big long room that'll have a center divider, so you can divide it into 2 spaces if need be, which is really nice because lately this fall, like, we had to stop taking large meeting room reservations because our large meeting room was just booked.
Wow.
Because we only have the 2 meeting rooms, and the small one is only enough for 8 people at most. So anything, even if you've got like 10 or 12 people, you got to book the large meeting room. And so it'll be nice to have those smaller meeting rooms for small groups. And also, a lot of times people will come in and be like, do you have a study room? And we're like, if the small meeting room isn't booked, you can book it for a couple hours. But like, if somebody's already in there, you're kind of out of luck. So now we'll have small study rooms where if people need a quiet space, because we're not a strictly quiet library. I think a lot of people get that impression of like librarians and library staff like shushing people, but like we have a children's area. So like unless like I think Papillion has a children's library specifically, and then another one, or one of the metro area libraries has a system like that. So that way they can have a quiet library, but we don't. Like our children's library is in there and kids are going to make noise. And so it'll be nice to have quiet study rooms that people can just rent they can just walk in and use it. Which will be very nice.
Yeah. Some more space. Brian in the chat says, love how libraries started doing these passes. We have some excellent destinations offered in Arizona. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where you live in the area, you almost never take advantage of the places. I think, did you check out a zoo pass at some point and go by yourself?
The zoo passes are different because the zoo, as a promotional thing, gives us 150 tickets every 2 months throughout the off season to just give away, to encourage people to come, especially people who like maybe don't know whether it's worth it to buy a ticket during the prime season, to kind of test it out or to remind people. Because like I hadn't been to the zoo in like a couple years.
Yeah, and we have a world-class zoo. It's really good,
an amazing zoo.
Yeah.
And so like I got a pass and I went in April, and then I went again this past month with free passes from the library.
Yeah, kind of nice. Kind of nice,
like, wow,
right?
I forgot how good it is.
You do kind of forget.
Which is kind of why they give them to us.
Have you gotten the new Luminarium? Has that gotten into? We have this new Luminarium Center, STEM education and science and that kind of stuff. Has that made its way in yet?
We haven't yet. We're hoping. We have an organization called Friends of the Bellevue Public Library that is a registered nonprofit that's made up of community members, and half of our passes they pay for. And so I think that's one of those things that like right now they're negotiating to see if that's something that's doable, if they can afford it, if the Luminarium will set up a system like that for us, because it does require working with the museum. They don't just buy a regular pass, like they have to work with us specifically. So hopefully we'll get one. Otherwise we'll have to look in, if they can't get one, then we might look into it for the budget. But like that's a decision that's like way above my pay grade.
Yeah, no, right on. Maybe someday it'll be in your pay grade. I mean, we could see this working out for a while for you. I just threw this in chat, and I for those watching on YouTube after the fact, what's the best thing you've ever done at your local library, or you've seen at a local library? Throw that in the comments either on YouTube, or I'd love to hear from you guys listening live other things that you have seen or done at your local library. Sammie, because the folks listening, I mean, they're always asking you to come back because you're very transparent in what you talk about. How have you grown in the last, let's think, since March or this year? I mean, this has really been first job for you out of college, and it seems like you really enjoy it. But let's hear from you. How's the experience been? What are you learning about yourself?
It's really great. I'm way less ashamed of not knowing things, which is that's like the number one biggest change is that I jumped into a job where I wasn't not expected to know how to do the thing. And so I think that just like broke a barrier for me where like throughout academia, there's kind of an understanding, and there's people were always coming in to college with different levels of experience. And I often felt insecure about the fact that I wasn't coming in with any like photography or videography experience or like audio experience other than this. And so I just felt like I was trying to put on a front of knowing more than I did. And then I came into this situation where I'm like, there's a bunch of stuff that I don't know how to do. And like, the only way to find out is to ask. And so I've gotten really good at just asking, which honestly reflects on the other part, which is getting better at helping people. I think the more that you don't feel shame about asking for help, the more people are willing to ask you for help because they see that there's an unspoken understanding between people that you can feel about each other, that like somebody's like, I don't know how to log into my email. And I'm like, you know what? We all learned at some point.
Well, okay, but a lot of the guys that listen to this program they helped people with their computers. They were help desk people.
Yeah.
And you're kind of, I mean, that kind of happens to you, right? Folks try to come in and use the technology and they're like, how's that gone? You feeling more comfortable with that?
For sure. And I surprised myself and my managers a little bit, I think, of how much I do actually know and how much I am able to explain things, which has really been good for my self-esteem. That people will be like, I am trying to help this patron with this thing and I can't figure it out. And I'm like, oh, I got this. And you just do this, this, and this. And I'm like, wow. And like there was a gal who needed to take money out of her retirement account, and it took like 3 of us over the course of several days to do it, but we got it done for her.
Yeah. That's that's great. The community aspect of that, you say over a couple days where someone could come in and get some help and come back. And, I said this on the last time you were on the podcast. I'm always surprised at the number of staff that are in that library. I'm like, when you took that job, I thought it was 3 people. I thought literally,
you only ever see like 3 people at the front desk, but there's always at least one shelver out in the stacks, and then there's like 15 people in the back room because you've got 3 departments that each have a head librarian. Often they have an assistant librarian. You have a technology librarian who's in the maker space. You've got the director of the library. You've got like 3 people in tech services, like ordering books, getting them ready to package, repairing stuff. There's a bunch of people in the back doing all sorts of stuff. Our office manager taking phone calls and ordering stuff all day.
We just have the one library though, right? Here in Bellevue.
Yes.
We just have the one, right? Omaha has dozens. I think
Papillion has 2. But we just got the one.
Bellevue and Papillion, similar size. I think Bellevue's a little bit bigger. Someday there may be an opportunity to open a second. Couple comments coming in from chat. So Brian says, in response to my question, what's the best thing you've ever done in the library? Leave your comments down below in chat or in Facebook or in YouTube in the comments. He says, my wife has enjoyed yoga classes put on by the library. One we haven't done yet, but definitely need to take advantage of is checking out one of the professional telescopes. You guys have telescopes, right?
We do have telescopes. We have 2 telescope, like professional telescope kits. And then we have 2 like a NASA adventure packs. They have a smaller telescope that's like easier to use, and some other STEM flavored activities. That one's more geared towards families. And those are really nice. They're less popular than they were when we first got them. I think we need to push out some more promotional material about them because I think some people have forgotten that we had them because the wait list was like a mile long when we first got them. And now they're just like sitting in the makerspace. We're like, check them out. Look at the sky.
plug into computers? Could I plug them into a computer and do some things, or do I have to sit outside? It's kind of cold.
I got nothing.
Okay.
But there's like, you could look into it, and there is informational material in those kits on like how to stargaze. So you're not just like, here's a telescope, what do I do with it? Like they tell you what to do, which is nice.
Yeah. When we had John on a couple times, another John, not our John, but another John, we talked about telescopes, and they've got some cool ones that you can plug into your computer. Jay says community. Yeah, don't stare at the sun with them.
Do not look at the sun.
Jay says community performances. And do you get quite a bit of like what's the the variation that you have of folks coming in and doing stuff?
Coming up, we got Christmas stuff. So we've got different school groups and stuff coming in to do caroling, which is exciting. We just went through, we had this month, every week I wish I remembered what the instrument is called, and I don't have a calendar with me that says, because like at work, I'm always like pulling out the calendars and the little thing to reference our programming, and I don't have it here. It's stressing me out. But there was a gal who came in, it's like a string instrument that sits on your lap, and it's got like 27 strings. I think it's from China. I don't remember what it's called, but she came in every week and she would play a little bit, and then the kids would come and she would teach them about it, and she would teach them like the fundamentals of solfege, and she would let them play it. And it was really cool. That was really cool programming that we did through our children's department. We have Humanities Nebraska comes in and does talks. They do like 4 or 5 during the adult library program in the spring, but they also do them periodically throughout the year where they talk about kind of like, what's that one podcast? Throughline. It's kind of like Throughline where they're connecting history to now. And they try to focus on regional Nebraska stuff to like really get people invested in history and the humanities. So we do that. There's all kinds of stuff. We had all kinds of stuff going on all the time.
Brian says, he says, my favorite thing was probably hearing stories from our state historian a few years back. And I think, KDJ says, nowadays I go to Mr. Google to do my research. One of the differences, though, between just doing the research, because you can, I mean, listen, today I literally did nothing today except YouTube. I spent some time researching how to replace the batteries. You have a hybrid. I passed my 2006 Honda Civic down to you that you have now. It's been running pretty well. But eventually the batteries are going to need to be replaced. And so today I spent about an hour researching that, like, okay, now you know what, I'm pretty comfortable. I know there's 4 bolts to take out the back seat, and I need a number 10 ratchet to get that done, or socket to get that done. And then there's 19 other screws that you got to pull out, pulls the cover off, flip the breaker. Like, I know it all. But what I don't get is I don't get that personal interaction. You talked about this person who came in with the instrument and they work with the students and you make a personal connection, right? I mean, I think that's got to be a little bit different of an experience in person to be able to do some of those kinds of things, right?
It definitely is. And we have the other things I was thinking of is the different story times. We had Spanish story time where we had some high school kids who are learning Spanish come in and read Spanish to students. So that was beneficial to children. So it's beneficial for the Spanish students and the kids. And we have, I forget I think it's like a senior story time where they have senior citizens come in, and those intergenerational interactions are good for your brain and your social skills. And so like all of those things are, especially our children and teen program, is really geared towards building community, getting people to interact with each other, because we all became very isolated during COVID, and that stunted some social skills.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, and it's just nice, I think, sometimes to see it in person. I forget, I've gone to a few person events since we've come out of COVID, and I'm like, it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to, and I'm going into work 5 days a week, so I get a lot of folks. Hey, speaking of in person, you're building a big fish tank too. Why is that important? Like, in your opinion, why is having that tank there important?
People love the fish tank. Somebody donated this fish tank to us forever ago, probably before I was born, based on the fact that it's been there as long as I can remember. And the kids love to look at the fish. and they love interacting with the fish tank. And it's just like an easy way to interact with like animals in nature in a very like controlled way. And people love it. But we've had this dinky little fish tank for forever. And so finally we did a fundraiser to get a bigger one at our new place that's going to take up half the wall. It's going to be huge. And people really got on board with that. And also there was a fun connection with our technology librarian. Her ex-husband's mom used to work at the library, ? But she heard about it and made a big donation. And so like through family connections, two people who hadn't talked to each other in years got reconnected, and that finished our funding the rest of the way up. Because she was like, I didn't know. And I really care about this fish tank, and I care about these fish, and I want them to have a bigger home.
Yeah, you have to remind the kids, don't tap on the glass.
Don't tap on the fish tank. That's when I gotta be the bad guy. Don't touch the Christmas tree. Don't tap on the fish tank.
Why
please.
Why is that? Even adults want to do that. They just want to go.
I'm like, this scares them. They're so small, you guys. Their brains are this big.
How much bigger is that tank? You know how many gallons?
Probably 4 times the size of our current one. I don't know in terms of gallons, but our current one is like what you would typically think of like a big, like the biggest fish tank you would have in a house is kind of what our current one is. And the new one will be about 4 times that size. Yeah. So imagine that.
I think they're kind of calming, to hear the bubblies, the water.
There is something about negative ions in running water, which is why waterfalls are good for your brain. They relax. It relaxes you. That.
Katie J says he used to own a 30-gallon hexagonal aquarium with tropical fish years ago. We've had a variety of fish tanks, and they work for a while, and then they just don't. Yeah. One time, one of the kids, I think Josh, spilled milk into the poured milk into the fish tank. Yeah, I think that was that. I think that ended that version.
We weren't a fish family.
Sure, when we did them early on, we did, but they weren't around for you. Sherwin said, I try to attend a World Press photographic exhibition annually at the State Library yearly. Nice. So it's another good. Yeah. Well, and I would think, here in we're in the Omaha Metro. And so, you have Omaha, Council Bluffs, Bellevue, Papillion, Ralston, Elkhorn, probably Millard, all have library systems. Millard is now, I think, officially a part of Omaha as well as Elkhorn just got annexed by Omaha. Oh, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But they all started. I mean, I think the Bellevue or the Benson, which is in a big city to the north that Omaha annexed. It had its own library, a beautiful library, actually. I've been up there one time. I went up and, for these cities that started that way, they built themselves a very beautiful library. Those got included in with the city services when Omaha took them over. But Omaha can't grow outside of Douglas County, so there's no chance of Bellevue that ever happening to Bellevue, Papillion, Ralston, La Vista. Those southern Sarpy County, and they won't take over each other at this point. Although Bellevue's been trying to do some things, so you get some variety, right? I mean, you get some variety. And does my Bellevue card work in Omaha? If I go up there? What do I have to do?
We're not affiliated anyway. You have to pay a membership to get it. Okay, a membership if I want to, because your property taxes pay you for your current membership.
Okay.
So whatever city you pay property taxes in, that's where you get a free card.
What about interlibrary loans? How does that work?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately, we don't have enough funding for those to be free. Some libraries have them for free. We charge them $3 per item. But you can get, if we don't have an item and it's too expensive to buy or it's too rare, it's out of print, we can have it shipped to our library. We cover half the cost. You cover half the cost. Oh. And so we'll first look in Nebraska libraries, but we can ship from all over the country. So if there's a book in a library in the country, they will ship it to us, and then we will loan it to you, and we'll say.
And then you drop it back off and
then we ship it back.
You ship it back. And there's a person who just does that, right? At the library? At your
Her name is
library?
Emily, and she's great.
That's awesome. Yeah,
she is specifically our interlibrary loan librarian. She's always busy? Standing at the packaging station, boxing up books.
Is it pretty? So it's pretty busy.
Yeah.
Like that's a full-time, like mostly full-time job?
Yep.
Wow. That's just crazy to me. Like I just think, I don't know. I guess I'm with KDJ, you know, who said a little bit earlier, you know, he goes to Mr. Google for that. I guess I wouldn't even think to be like, oh, I want to get this book from another library, but I'm not a big reader. So maybe I don't think
we can also
that
get
way first.
Movies from other libraries too.
Yeah. Well, but do you think
because digital? I work there, I get them for free. I get interlibrary loans for free. So sometimes I'm like, man, I really want to watch this movie. And instead of pirating it, I will make the library ship it to me.
How much would that be if I wanted to do it and it wasn't free for me?
$3.
So $3.
$3, which is a lot cheaper than pretty much anything these days.
Yeah.
That's like half of a Cravings box at Taco Bell.
We've been talking a lot about those Cravings boxes.
Listen, they should pay us to promote the Cravings boxes. we could be the next Pete Davidson.
So wait a minute. Cravings box. Either you have to get it on the app, although you can go to the menu.
Yes.
Can't you go to get it on the menu? And
sometimes I don't always see it, and so I just rely on the app. And also, then I interact with somebody as little as possible. I'm just like, give me my food, thank you.
By the way, you won't know this. You won't know this reference. We'll come back to this in a second. But the other day, I was listening to Entertainment 2.0. Richard Gunther. So most of the listeners here, a lot of the listeners to this program, also listen to Entertainment 2.0. Richard Gunther, Josh Pollard. Richard said he asked a question, and then he said question mark at the end, just like you do.
Yeah.
He did that. I was like, huh.
I absolutely do that.
I thought that was maybe a millennial thing, but maybe it's a little. Richard's not quite a millennial at these days, but anyways, it was just funny when I heard you say that.
Intergenerational.
I hear you say that all the time. So, okay, but the best way to get the Cravings box is to customize it on the app. Is that right? And does it change all the time, or is it?
I feel like sometimes they change what you can and can't get, but generally, as long as I've been doing it, it's been the same stuff.
But KDJ said he never knew there was a Cravings.
Get the Taco Bell app. Listen, they should be paying me for this, but they're not.
What typically, like when you get, like the other night, we'd been enjoying some libations, and I was
the other night, Dad. This was a month ago.
Well, it's okay. I was just, for those listening along, and you should tell the story because you're better.
So it was post my birthday party, and we had been doing the whiskey and cigars and the fire in the backyard, and we came in, and I was all tuckered out from socializing for several hours because like my whole family and all my friends were there, and I was like, man, I really want some Taco Bell. I didn't do the Taco Bell app. I DoorDashed it though, and I was like, I'm gonna DoorDash a Cravings box, and I think I sprung for the deluxe, so I got like a chalupa and a burrito and a taco. And I got Mom some cinnamon twists and a Baja Blast. And the dad has never ordered this. Dad is the kind of person, Jim Collison is the kind of person who, it doesn't matter how cold it is, how rainy it is, he would rather go pick up a pizza than pay somebody to deliver it. Because he's like, I could be saving money right now. Mm-hmm. And so, but he's just I
don't like tipping people. That's what it really comes down to. I don't like paying for delivery or tipping people.
I'm so glad to get a $0 delivery fee and just throw a like $5 tip on that order because I know that the delivery driver gets all that money.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And he's sitting by the bay window, and so he sees the DoorDash person come up to the door. Masood. His name was Masood. Shout out Masood.
He was magical.
And he saw Dad in the window, and he waved at Dad and smiled, and then dropped off the food. And then I pull it up, and I look at Dad. I'm like, he looks hungry, and I just hand him a burrito. And he's like, this is a glorious burrito that was delivered to me by this nice man. And it was like 9:00 at night. Like delivery was ending in like half an hour, and I was like, I still got time. So it was like 9:30 at night, and you got a burrito delivered straight to the door.
Oh, it was so good. And it got delivered strate to me. I didn't pay for it.
Straight to your hands. You didn't have to stand up. You didn't have to pay for it.
I didn't move. You just brought it.
You didn't have to talk to a stranger.
It was so good.
It was magical.
Yeah. So the magic in Masood was great though. It was just he comes up to the door and sets it down and takes a picture.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and sees me and he just smiles. I guess this little smile and I wave and he waves back. Masood and I had this connection for a moment. I'm gonna say my heart, I just went out to him a little bit. I was like, oh, thank you. I didn't know his name at that point, but hey, thank you. And it was just delicious. So you too could do that, customize it. The Taco Bell app is really quite good. I mean, you can get some in a time of high inflation.
If you build up enough points, you get free stuff. You know how rewards programs work.
Oh yeah. It's crack. They're just you're trying to get you hooked. Just trying to get you hooked on it. So KDJ, if you haven't tried out the Taco Bell app, you definitely need to give it a try.
The big thing is the Cravings box is $5. So it's like the only thing on the Taco Bell menu right now where you can get more than one thing for like less than $8. So like it's in an expensive world, it's a real deal.
I think you and I should go out for Taco Bell after the show.
Yes, dude, Thanksgiving weekend. I'm here for it. I think they close at midnight.
We'll have to see. Okay. So, a couple questions. Brian, I threw that out there. Brian says, I can't remember if Sammie's library has a 3D printer. Yes. I know I'd love to have one at our library. Any recommendations to get one at our library? So, in other words, what would he need to do to encourage his library to pick one up?
I don't know, but ask. Just ask. I know our website has a suggestion box, which I have used before. So that's one way is to suggest that they have it. You can also, libraries, they're not funded enough. Let's be real. So like, I would really encourage some people to find some people who also want to have a 3D printer, pull some money and donate them a 3D printer. Like that. That's really the best way to get your library to have a 3D printer is to get some people involved who want one, and then they contribute one. That would be a really nice thing to do.
Yeah, it might be nice to get a group of people to show up to then say, hey, it would be really nice if you bring one in or whatever. Maybe get one, maybe get a local, store to donate one, a Best Buy or something along those lines. See if
a lot of our library of things items were donations. So like we have a whole cake pan collection of like specialty cake pans. Those were all donated. All of our puzzles and board games were donated by people. We get so many puzzle donations, dude. We got puzzles up the wazoo, and we sell so many in the bookstore. So, like, find some generous people. And that's how you make your library better.
Yeah.
You got to give to get in this
Tony said, still surprised our local library does digital books and movie services. The movie things, well, you would think with the advent of Audible that the digital book services may take a hit, but there are people who don't want to deal with the subscription, and they, with their library card, right, they can through Libby, they can get books. So that's a great way of doing it. There's just folks who want to do it that way. They don't want to pay for the subscription. Movies, I think, have kind of been the same way. I mean, Sammie, there's so many different ways to consume movies now.
Mm-hmm. There's too many streaming services, and it's like the movies that are on them are changing every month. And so it's like, I just want to watch Pride and Prejudice 2005, but it was on Netflix last month, and now it's gone. So like, where'd it go?
Yeah.
Sometimes they're not on any streaming service, and you have to rent it on Amazon, and I don't want to do that.
And I
just want to check out the physical disc from the library. Since the last time we talking about technology, I got a DVD player that plugs into my laptop.
Into your Mac. I could just into my Mac. Right. Is it USB-C then? I take it, right?
Yes. Yeah. And so I just check out DVDs from the library and I plug them into my laptop and I watch them. And I'm like, you know what? It's 2004 again. And I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the streaming service BS.
There's a lot. There's
too many.
Maybe that's why I don't watch movies anymore. Brian says, I just surf YouTube. Brian says, good suggestion. I'll try talking with a few people. I have some retired engineers in town too, may be able to team up with getting a 3D printer. Be a good idea. Put some folks together and like either you said, put a donation together that you can give to the library, maybe tax deductible. Check with your local tax laws and some of those kinds of things to do it, or maybe get the word out that the library's looking for one. People buy those things sometimes and then they don't ever use them. Like, I can't figure this thing out. And maybe the library, can I still take books to the library and donate them? Is that a thing they still like? Can I still do that? And what do you guys do with them? Like, certainly they don't make the shelves, do they?
Every once in a while they do. We check our, especially if we get one that's like pristine, we'll check our collection and see if like our copy, if it's one that we already have, we'll see if our copy is worn and needs replaced. That often happens. That's happened with 2 books that I donated, where our copy was in rough shape. Like one of them was a paperback and I replaced it with a hardback. Or if it's a really popular author, we'll accept it as a duplicate copy, or like they donated a copy of one that we just didn't happen to order or got lost and we couldn't afford to replace. So sometimes they do make the collection. Most of the time though, they make the book sale room, which raises money for us. Yeah. And because they're all donations, we sell books and DVDs and CDs and anything that we're getting out of our collection, we sell in the book sale room. And all of it we sell for dirt cheap. Paperbacks, 50 cents. Hardbacks, $1, which is cheaper than any used bookstore you'll come across. So like
sometimes $5 a bag, right? That's the Cravings box, right?
That's the library Cravings box, is when our book sale room gets full. We'll do a fire sale, everything goes, and you can fill up a brown grocery bag worth of stuff in $5 for the whole bag.
Yeah. No, I think there's just people who love to take advantage of that. They whenever is our library, is that open all the time? Is the bookstore, the book room, whatever
we try to have it open all the time. It is staffed by volunteers. Okay. That's another thing that I will say about your library is if you have time, volunteer and help out, because like our book sale room is run by volunteers. One of our book repair techs is volunteer. Something about the 3D printer, check with your library that they have the infrastructure to host it, if they have staff to train, and if not, volunteer to, because we have volunteers who train people on our makerspace machines and then supervise people while they're doing stuff, because we don't want people breaking our machines.
If you're listening to this show, you might be a volunteer candidate to do those kinds of things. So Brian asked a good question. What's the number one thing you look forward to learning in the next year related to your job? Still taking your questions, by the way, while Sammie's thinking. Still taking your questions. We got a few more minutes here. We're coming up on the hour, but Sammie, number one thing you look forward to learning in the next year?
I think, there's things that you don't know until you realize that you don't know them. And those are the things that I'm trying to get covered in the next year. Because like the everyday stuff I've got down. But like there's a lot of little details that like I just learned how to use our laminator last week. I've been working there 10 months and I was like, James, how do I use the laminator? Help. So like I'm trying to cover all of those bases in the next year, so that way I'm not asking my supervisor a couple times a month like, oh, actually there's this thing that I've been working here a year and I've never done it before. Because there's just so many things.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of things.
I'm trying to get better at Dewey Decimals. Oh. That's something I could actively work on, is remembering what Dewey Decimals are, what subjects, because people will ask. They're like, I want a book about the Western Front during World War II, and I'm like, I think I know where the World War II section is, but like I don't know all of the decimals. They'll be like, I want a book about houseplants. I'm like, I think that's in the 300s. So like I could get better at that. Okay. I'd like to get better at that.
Yeah, and
I can get people recommendations faster. I'm like a book psychiatrist. I'm just trying to get people there.
How many people ask you for book recommendations? Is that fairly frequent?
For like just straight up, they're like, I need a book, tell me. That only happens every couple months. But frequently people will be like, I'm looking for a book on this subject or by this author, or I'm looking for this particular book. Can you help me find it? That happens like every day.
Okay. Yeah.
People are like, where there's so many books. Where is this one that I'm looking for?
Do you go right to the computer or?
Depends.
Okay.
If it's one that I know where it is, I'm like, let's go to the shelf. Often I'll double check though, just to make sure that's checked in, especially if they're, everybody's looking for those like Colleen Hoover books. And I'm like, we got multiple copies, but I don't know if they're all checked out right now.
Well, that's true. That's true. Even if you know the area.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you walk all the way over there and you're like, it's gone. Sorry. So like, that's not.
Yeah.
Great.
Jay, kind of wrapping up here as we go. I'll do a verbal last call for you guys. Can you share some things that we may not be aware of? A few of those we've covered. Mm-hmm. Passes, maybe makerspace stuff, conference rooms that you can use. Anything we've missed from a library perspective that we may not be aware of?
When we're talking about Googling things, we have a lot of subscriptions to databases and stuff. So if you ever want to do research, you can get the login information from your library, or like your library card number will be the login to a paid service like EBSCOhost. A lot of libraries have language learning services. I can't remember what the one that we use is. We used to use Mango Languages and now it's something else. But you can get free access to language learning software for free with your library card.
Wow.
So there's a lot of stuff that you normally have to pay for that we pay for, and we just let you use your library card to access. Just always go to your library and be like, yo, what free stuff can I get? Because there's a lot of free stuff. We do craft kits for all ages. Those are completely free. You just have to sign up for them. So truly, like, go to your front desk and be like, what services do you have for free? And they'll probably hand you a brochure full of stuff.
Brian's going to ask in real time. So any book recommendations perhaps related to the season?
Ooh, book recommendations. What have I got off the top of my head? Let me open my Goodreads real quick and see what I've read lately, because I've suddenly forgotten every book I've ever read.
Yeah, well, we'll give you a second to think about it.
This is funny. We're past the season now, but I honestly recommend it for when the spring comes up. I did Dracula Daily this year.
Oh yeah.
So Dracula is an epistolary novel. So it's told in diary entries, newspaper clippings, letters. And Dracula Daily is a service where they email you Dracula as the events happen in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So any diary entries dated for like June 2nd, they email you that on June 2nd. So you read it throughout the year. I think it's from like May to like November 6th. And that was really fun. Like, I read that at work whenever it was like really slow. I just like crack open and read my little Dracula email. That was really fun. And it wraps up right during spooky season. So if you're looking for something to read in the spring and you have a hard time reading a lot, like you feel pressure to like read big chunks, it's a really good way to read a classic novel. And also, it's unexpectedly hilarious. A lot of people are like, Dracula, that's an old book. It's really dry. It's absolutely hysterical. I enjoyed it a lot. So I recommend that one.
You talked about it all the time.
I did. And I had something to talk about. You find somebody to do Dracula Daily with you so you can talk about it, because you're like, Dracula just threw his mirror out the window.
You can do that anytime?
Yeah. Theoretically you can, but it starts like the actual year for it starts in April or May.
Okay.
And it spans most of the year.
So it's coming up.
So this spring, get on the Dracula Daily train. For fans of mythology, Circe by Madeline Miller was really good. A new way to intake mythology without it feeling so dry, without feeling like you're reading the Iliad.
Okay.
That was really good.
Be careful, Icarus.
What were some other ones that I read that would be good for your audience?
Hey, was the language learning like Rosetta and Babbel and Duolingo, like that kind of language learning where you can learn another language when you were talking about? Okay.
That's what I mean. Yes.
Okay.
But it wasn't, hold on. I think I have a library brochure in here somewhere.
Of course you do.
I was just going through my stuff today because I was looking for something. I do. What is it? What's it called?
Such a good librarian you are.
I am. I try my best, dude. Crap, I've lost it. But we have it. We have it. It's something. It's not something I had heard of before I started working there. We also have My Heritage.
Which
we have
is
access to that, which is kind of like a genealogy thing.
Okay. Yeah, I use WikiTree.
Yeah.
Which is a wiki version of that. By the way, I got the Taco Bell menu up and the Cravings value menu right there. Look at that.
There.
Katie J, look, you could do Taco Bell once a month and you'd be fine with that.
It's $5.
You would be fine. You'd be fine. And we went the Cravings box, right?
Yes.
The combos. It's $5. They're $5.99 on the app now. So they're not $5 anymore. They're $5.99. But it looks like a taco burrito and the cinnamon twists and the same thing you got the other night when we were doing it. That's those right taco. Okay, that's good. Yeah, good stuff. I think I know where we're going after the show, guys. Sammie, anything else that you want to add? Anything else that you would make them aware of? What did you just say? What was the recommendation that you just gave? You said databases, and then what was the last one? I was just thinking about tacos. What did you say?
Oh, the craft kits.
Craft kits. Okay.
Those are free.
And what do they make? That's not what you said, but
no.
What are the craft kits?
Those are something that our librarians put together. We have some for kids, some for teens, and some for adults. And it's a kit with everything you need to make. Like the really popular one we did in the spring was Hobbit door themed wreath. So it was a wreath, and you had a little Hobbit door in the middle. I wish I had my fidget cube with me somewhere. That was one kit that I did where we used the laser cutter to laser cut out some wood pieces, and they fit together in a cube, and you put like rubber bands and beads and like spinners and stuff. So you get a little fidget cube. That was great. Those are so good.
Do you guys have instruments? I know you have puzzles and stuff, but do you have instruments to check out?
Don't have musical instruments. That would be very cool though.
Yeah, it'd be hard though.
It would be hard.
Yeah. Those would be. Some of the maybe a guitar, you know, a wind instrument would genealogy. Thank you, Tony.
That's what it was.
That's what
My Heritage is the service.
My Heritage, and you can sign up for it for free. Is that
you log in? It's a paid service that you log in with your library card.
Okay, yeah, and because I mentioned I use WikiTree, and that's actually pretty good. They've got more about my family history, and then. Apparently, my ancestor that I talk about all the time, James Thomas Meadows, who I'm named for, he's got his own Wikipedia page now. That's like,
oh yeah,
that's you looked at. We were talking about
did.
it. You looked it up.
James Meadows in parentheses pioneer. So if you're looking for that guy, that's his Wikipedia page.
California, Monterey, California.
I think that's right.
He was jumped ship in the 1850s and
like, I'm out of here.
Hid among some of the folks there in Monterey, and then ended up going to when they took him. The Spanish were afraid that he was working with a group of English folks to incite a riot so that California could overthrow the government.
He was like, I'm working with English. I just left English.
I know. Didn't dump any tea in the harbor, but they did take him to Mexico for and he was in jail for almost a year, and came back to Monterey, ended up marrying a Native American there, and that the family got started. So it's kind of a cool story. James Thomas Meadows, if you want to go out and get some real insight to some of my family history and Sammie's family history too. So super cool. Sammie, anything else?
This is unrelated to anything we've been talking about, but I got to talk about this Brumate water cup that I got.
Bromate? Is that what you call it?
B-R-U with the umlaut.
Brumate. Okay.
B-R-U with an umlaut, M-A-T-E. Brumate. This one's a tankard. They make them smaller than this. But the coolest thing is that it seals. So you know, I always want a straw cup. And the Stanley cups are all the rage, but they leak if they fall over or if you put them in a bag. But these ones, it's like you can drink out of the top, and then you spin this thing around, and then it seals.
No.
And so it won't go all over your bag.
Magic.
So they should really be paying me for this promo. But
maybe they'll sponsor the show. But if you want a straw cup that keeps your stuff cold, it's double-lined stainless steel or double-walled stainless steel. How do you spell that?
B-R-U-M-A-T-E.
They sell them on Amazon?
No, I got it from their website.
Yeah, but do they sell them on Amazon?
I don't think so.
BRUMAT.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's German based on the umlaut.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Brumate.
Listen, I'll have a link. Just this gives me this is a good segue to a commercial. So don't leave. But I just restarted my Amazon affiliate relationship this last week. I was like, I might as well. Now that Sarah's doing contract work, I got to buy the big tax package anyways. So I might as well be making some money on Amazon. So not all of them. In fact, almost none of the posts I've been doing for the last 10 years have any affiliate links in them because I haven't done this for a while. But we're bringing it back. So in the show notes for this show, so theaverageguy.tv/HGG592, there'll be some links to that, to the Brumate, right? BRU umlaut. It's German. BRU umlaut.
Brumate.
And I'll have a link to that if you purchase it, or if you go out there and click on that link, that'll benefit Home Gadget Geeks, and you can start doing that again. I don't have a general link for that. You just have to go into Amazon. So check out the show notes. There'll be, I should probably remind myself. Let me grab this link here.
I should have you link Dracula Daily too. Because that's just like one guy who does that. This is very important. And we need to support this man who does this every year for us. He sends these emails.
Send me that link to Dracula Daily, and then I'll do the Brumate. These in my own show notes right now. We'll do Amazon link. Okay. Yeah, I have to assign individual links to those now. So
a messenger.
Get that done. Yeah. That. Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Well, hold on. Try Sammie's link. Sammie, thanks for taking the time on a Friday night, because you're super busy all the time, so it's really hard to get your time. It's super hard to get your time, but
I'm a little busy. I'm a lot busier than I used to be.
Yeah. You know what? Hours. We made it through the whole podcast. We didn't talk about one Black Friday deal. That's super awesome. I'm
not about that consumerism. I work at the most communist institution.
You do. You do, the last bastion of communism in America. Listen, the Black Friday, it's out of control. Like I got so many emails today. I was clearing out every hour what I would normally clear out in a day, and it just turns me off. I don't want to buy anything.
They're not really good deals anymore.
No,
it's like 20% off, and a lot of the times they raise the price just to drop them, or they import lower quality stuff.
Yeah, just for Black Friday, right? Yeah. Those kinds of things.
I'm not about that anymore.
I think there was a meme in our family chat. No, it was in could have been in both, just to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I think it was Randy. I think Randy Walker put this in, where it was a picture of, let's see if I can find it here really quick. It was a picture of like, wait for it. And it would say like $9.99. Wait for it, $9.99. And then the last one was like, go. And it was $14.99 with the price marked through to $9.99.
Yep.
And so it would make sense for a gadget show to do like a big Black Friday show today. I am so over Black Friday. I mean, it's just
the only thing I got, because Joanne started their Black Friday stuff before Thanksgiving. And so they had a couple like little deals. And so I was like, a couple things that I had my eye on for a while. I was like, oh, I could get it for like 20% off. So it's like got like new tape measure and some sewing machine needles. It was very chill, low stakes Black Friday for me. Yeah. It was more like Black Tuesday. That's when I actually bought it.
No, I just rather buy them as I need them. Katie J says, Sherwin, I don't do Black Friday specials or do any day specials, so that's too bad. Sherwin says, I'm in Australia. We're just getting on the bandwagon post-COVID. Think the retailers are looking for a way to increase Christmas revenue for sure. Just like you said, I think there's some shenanigans going on with Black Friday these days. Brian says, 20 years ago, I remember getting up crazy early to wait in line. Not that way nowadays. There are a few places it's kind of coming back. COVID kind of broke that whole show up early. I mean, it was crazy in America.
Yeah.
And COVID kind of broke that for a while. I remember getting newspaper the weekend before, the Sunday before Black Friday. It would be this thick with just ads. It would just be just ads.
It still kind of is that way with ads.
Yeah.
Like one of our circ members got the newspaper for the day this past week, and it was chonky.
Yeah,
it's like, is this all ads?
Just ads, just Black Friday ads. Tony's fallen into my camp. Bought nothing. I did nothing today, and I literally bought nothing.
Except we're about to buy that Taco Bell.
We are going to do Taco Bell when we're done here. Katie J says specials are not special anymore. Kind of to your point. Sherwin says that's true. Randy Black said I purchased an audio plug-in bundle from Focusrite. This may be an area, these subscription services may be an area where it might be different because they can't change it. They can't give you a cheaper version of the thing. It's the version of it, right? So $40 regularly, it's $360. So yeah, that's like, that may be an area, Sammie, of exception on Black Friday. Subscriptions may be a pretty good deal.
Yeah, and I think they can afford to do that because they get you hooked. And then you keep paying for this.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, there's still some,
to introduce some nihilism in here. The end.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's in my blood.
No, it's okay. Tony says all the things I want don't have discounts.
Yeah, ain't that just the way?
So, well, it's okay. It doesn't have to be. There are some things. I mean, there is a time there are some companies that do some pretty good deals this time of year. Just I'm just glad we're not doing a Black Friday show, so to speak.
Yeah.
Or getting into that. I get so, by the end of the day, I don't want to buy, although I did get a good cigar deal. So that was one of those kinds of things where I found some pretty good cigars for a pretty good price. And I was like,
yeah, okay, I think that's the sweet spot these days is it's like, if it was going to be something you were going to buy anyway.
Yeah.
And you got an okay deal on it, then might as well.
And I'd get deals like this that are not, it just happened to be 30% off. That's the most I'd seen in a while. Found a way to get free shipping with it, and you're just like, okay, yeah, I pulled the trigger on those. Tony makes a good point. He says, and often those subscription discounts are only for new customers, and that's true.
They're trying to get you hooked.
Yeah, no, right.
They're trying to be like, this is worth $60. So
I was thinking of StreamYard, who we're using right now. You can see the logo up in the corner. They had a deal going on in their business, for some of their business subscriptions today for everybody. So that was kind of nice. I did take advantage of it. I'm on their $10 plan, and it's good enough for me. So, yeah, that's what I did. Well, we're gonna end this thing so we can go get some Taco Bell. But Sammie, thanks for coming on. Always great to have you on and to catch up. For those in the chat room, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thanks chat room for putting up with a silly show.
I think it's kind of fun.
About some chill topics.
I think they look forward to having you on. I mean, they were the one a couple weeks ago when I started talking about this. They were like, "Yeah, have Sammie on. Get her back. We want to hear from Sammie." You guys. So, all is well. I've got one more show before surgery, and then be off that week. I almost scheduled Uyghur for the 7th, and I thought, because that's the 13th anniversary of Home Gadget Geeks. That week, that first week of December is 13. I thought, it'd be nice to have Uyghur, and then I'm like, it's probably not a good idea 2 days after surgery to be trying to podcast. I mean, I'd try it, but I did get Uyghur. I did get Uyghur for the next week, so he's coming on the 14th. And then we've got TJ Huddleston from hometech.fm coming. Then it's the holidays. So taking some time off for the holidays. Christian's lined up in January. Bob and Ryan are coming back from Computers Inc. thinkcomputers.org are coming on, and they will be here, and we continue to line up some great shows. We'd love to have you join us live. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central. Justin thinks that's weak, by the way.
Sass in the chat. Listen, this surgery, he's gonna need some sleep.
Yeah, this is gonna be less
than ideal, fam.
This is gonna be a serious one. Sherwin, thanks cheers to you as well. Have a great weekend. Brian, thanks for that. And we enjoyed the conversation as well. So I appreciate that. We are live. Well, I should say this before we go. Big thanks to Christian over there, Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and trust, and that's Christian, of course, and Gary, his dad, who run the show over there. Plans start as little as $10 a month, and they're fighting inflation over there. So make sure you get, if you need a site for anything, contact Christian. Check it out, maplegrovepartners.com, and they'd love to have your business. And thank you for supporting them, because that supports us here on Home Gadget Geeks, and appreciate that. Don't forget to head out to the show notes for this show as well. I'll have that one Amazon link for the cup, and you can try that out for me. See, I don't know, maybe there's some money in Amazon, and we can start doing some things like that. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv live, except for this. We didn't do it yesterday because it was Thanksgiving, but this Friday. We appreciate you guys coming out. Those who joined us live, we appreciate you. Those listening to the podcast, thanks for listening. Have a great day, a great evening, a great morning, whatever it is for you, however you're listening. With that, we'll say goodbye.